Oh, the game has started. Okay, I was waiting for it. And we got takeoff. All right. We got a Petrov so far.
Oh, that evidence is some deep preparation because bishop c4 play. Look at this. I'm loving this so far because ignoring the fact that you can take on e5, going forward with the natural development that he's likely been taught. But Alexandra, bishop c4, do you think that he's going for a sort of fried liver? But it's a bit different because there's a knight. Oh, wait a second. Are we back to the fried liver?
Are we going to see knight g5 here? That would be pretty exciting. I hope we see it.
I really hope we do as well because that's what I was saying. When you play knight f3 and bishop c4, you learn that with knight c6 before knight f6, but you don't always recognize the differences when
Oh, I really wanted to see it. So, chat, the fried liver is when you move your knight to g5 and you take on f7. You usually end up sacrificing some material, but you have a really nice kingside attack. And I think it's a fun position to play as beginners. But now that he developed his other knight, he's probably not going for it.
yeah, and that means that we're not going to get to see a tactical melee. Well, we still might, but right now we're in a more of a let me develop. He just went knight to c3. Why did he play knight to c3? He wanted to protect his pawn on e4, understanding that that was hanging. And so it seems like they're going forward with what we we're talking about. They're just developing their pieces very naturally, trying not to risk too much. But right now, Black's spending quite a deal of time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays bishop c5. So we have a very symmetrical position here. The only thing being that black is down a tempo.
That's right. And so White can castle first. And Alexandra, you've been coaching these players. Have you given them instruction not to play copycat chess?
Um, I haven't given them instructions specifically not to do it because, for example, in this position, I think it's fine to copy at the first three moves because it's what you want to do as well. I've stuck to more just generalized advice about the opening so that they don't feel like they have to memorize lines, but rather they're kind of improving overall, understanding the fundamentals, looking out for tactics.
And I mean, the fundamentals d3 here, just to make sure the e4 is extra protected, to get the dark squared bishop out, maybe bring that bishop on c1 over to g5, executing what we call a pin, right? Because the knight will not want to move with the more valuable queen behind it.
Absolutely. And what are the odds you think that Papaplatte continues and plays d6? It'd be kind of entertaining if he just tries to mirror him for most of the game.
This is where it can become problematic, right? And oh, whoa, ho, knight g4.
All right. Well, I mean, if he castles here, that position is slightly better for white. The reason being that then the king and the rook are going to protect the f2 pawns, and you never want to, okay, not never, but you mostly never want to give up your knight and your bishop for a pawn and a rook. It still looks intimidating though.
It really does. And I think for beginners, the move h3 is tempting, but h3 walks into Black's plan of this knight takes f2. But why would I say h3 is tempting? Well, you're put a knight forward. It looks like it's aggressive. I want to kick it out, but unfortunately, you're just welcoming it into your territory.
Right. So now he really needs to see the castle move. I think castling is a natural move here because he would have done it even if his opponent didn't play knight g4. He just needs to not fall into the trap you mentioned, which is always tempting when a piece is close to your king to just try and push it out.
That's right. And another thing that may be tempting is he sees that f2 is under attack. He's analyzing why did my opponent put the knight in g4, and maybe you want to play bishop e3, but unfortunately you only have one pawn defending that square, and Black has two pieces attacking it. So bishop e3 would be a way to defend f2, but you're losing a pawn on e3 in the process.
Right. So not worth it here, but it is good to see that he is taking his time here. And I think, it's important if you see a threat on your king and you're not sure what to do about it, at least don't move too quickly. He has time. And if he can make it into the castle, he will be in a slightly better position in the sense that he's up development here and will even get an extra tempo in the future, kicking off Black's knight once the pawn is defended.
Yeah, and I think something instructional about this moment is there's no easy way to quantify king safety. So
Mhm.
if castling is the best move, which you and I know it is, it protects the pawn f2. But even if the knight and bishop are lost for the rook and pawn, as you mentioned earlier, that the king being drawn out to f2, that feels like a risk and one that he may not be willing to take.
That's a great point because, if you haven't seen this trick before or been taught it, even if you count the material, or even if you understand the basics of the bishop and knight being better, king safety is also one of the most important things in the game. So you're right. Oh, and we see d4 played.
I knew he was going to get worried about this pawn in f2, and so he saw the attack. He tries to block the attacker, but probably not the best response, huh?
Definitely not the best response, but also not the worst response.
There are some tactics here. Like maybe he's going deep in the position and think if Papa goes knight takes d4, then maybe Swiftor will play knight g5, and then he said, "I'm going to do what you try to do against me and attack you on f7."
I mean, of course, it wouldn't actually work, but it would be really entertaining. I mean, we've been talking about a symmetrical game. I'd love to see this kind of strat. Hey, you have a good idea. Why don't I borrow that good idea?
Yes, and as we look at the live board, maybe we could hear Papa's thoughts here. I love how I just call him Papa. I've shortened his name. It'd be cool to hear his thoughts and insights, even if it's in German.
Yeah, I actually really like listening to German. I don't know why. Something about listening to German always makes me feel more smart after. I know it has nothing to do with it. Maybe it's because one of my chess coaches is German, and she always helps me think through stuff.
And he's live, so let's listen in.
Okay, let's see what Papa is saying.
Dann kann ich das, dann... Nee, den kann er for free nehmen, das ist ein Tausch, oder?
I understand 9 of this. No, 9 means no.
Ooh, I understood what he was saying, that his knight on g4 was unprotected. But now he sees that his queen's under attack. I see the arrow he's drawing. He's also listening to some rune 5.
Which could get him coffee strike. Like, this is the thing. Everybody listens to this kind of music, but even hearing it now makes me nervous.
Schlagen kann ich nicht.
I'm trying to learn German. Can you hold off, Alexandra? I really want to understand.
Ich sehe eigentlich nur den Bauern dahin moven oder mein Pferd.
He is saying, "Hello, Robert Hess. I'm glad you are watching. I've been wanting to talk to you for some time now. My plan to play in this tournament has only been to get your attention." I'm actually a pro translator, so don't worry.
I'm actually watching him analyze, and he's trying to figure out if he should block with the knight or the pawn on f6. And he's doing a good job of understanding that his knight, he wants to stay on g4 to attack the f2 pawn.
Yeah, and it seems like he's doing quite a good job looking at the different options that he can go for. Okay, and f6 just played.
I mean, that's a good move. He's attacking 2 minor pieces at the same time, isn't he? Right, the knight on c3. Okay, that was really loud. His stretching was loud, but he's attacking the bishop and the knight.
All right, so we got a really fast move from Swiftor here. He moved his bishop right away, but now his knight on c3. Okay, but look, there are still tricks. After knight takes c3, he can try queen d5. He has to try something like queen d5 here, right?
He does. And queen d5 will threaten checkmate on f7. It will threaten the bishop on c5. So black has the response queen to e7, protecting the f7 square and protecting the bishop at the same time. And it's funny because queen e7 isn't a forced move. You can move your rook instead to protect f7. But Alexandra, we know black is up material. Black has great chances. But isn't there something said for not feeling good about losing your right to castle?
Yeah, I mean, even when you're up material, if your king is in the center of the board, it is so scary. Maybe, you know, white doesn't have as many pieces, but the extra bishop that black has is on c8, so he hasn't been developed yet. So the best chance for white here is try to attack as quickly as possible while black pieces are not developed yet. That's how you go for the attack when you're down material advantage.
And I could totally see a new player trying to castle as black right now, and then Chess.com won't allow it to do it. And you're like, oh, this site, what's wrong with it? It's like, well, you cannot castle into check. And the bishop...
Wait, I thought you were talking about me when I play bullet. Why isn't this working? Oh, it's check. It's check. Okay. But I see actually on Papaplatte's stream that he did see the bishop is threatening the g8 square. So he has realized that he can't castle.
So, he's got his fundamentals down pat. And he's thinking, I'm looking at his stream as well, where he's been thinking about playing g5 as black. And he's like, does that kick the bishop back? But that's such a risky move.
I'm so nervous just hearing that, Robert.
Because you and I, we think g5, we think, wait a second, that black king's still in the center, so maybe I'll just go knight takes g5, and try to sacrifice pieces to get my queen very close to your king and hopefully deliver a checkmate.
So this reminds me of when I coached kids for like 5 years, and they would always play moves like this really quickly. So one thing I used to tell the 6-year-olds who are just moving way too quickly, aggressive moves and not thinking, would be to sit on their hands while they play chess and at least try to take a minute before every move, because they were so hyper and they'd always end up pushing their pawns. So I'm getting flashbacks.
Whoa, Swiftor goes for the knight sack.
Oh no. Oh, you should have sat on your hands, Papaplatte.
Well, he doesn't have too much time to sit. Actually, the time disadvantage is pretty huge right now. Okay, he took on g5. That means queen takes g4.
Or bishop takes g5, and now he's okay. All right, if Swiftor can at least castle out of this.
Did you see his reaction?
Oh, let me open it up.
No, Swiftor smacked his dome. He hit himself in the head and was like, "What are you thinking, man?"
I mean, I've been there. The face palms come naturally to me too. He had such nice counterplay, but he still does, because he's up a minute and 20 seconds on the clock. If he castles, he's not getting checkmated right away. And Black's king is still in the center of the board.
Yeah, he still definitely has a fighting chance because of the king being the center and the bishop on c4 being so strong. So I think that Swiftor, he's probably frustrated, and it is really difficult to play on from here. We are down now 3 minor pieces, and even considering what chances I have, it can be out the window, because you think, I'm losing, I'm down material, nothing's going right, and then you get in your own head. But here he can try something like queen f3 even. I know it's not going to work out, but I need to threaten the check on f7. Maybe I'm telegraphing it too obviously.
Right. I mean, the only problem is, even after you play queen f7, the king does have an escape square, and at this point he's down 2 pieces, so he likely won't be able to checkmate. But there is a world where Papaplatte would hang his rook at some point there, and then he does have counterplay. He just has to keep fighting. He has to mentally get over the tough position.
Right. And if he were able to play moves pretty quickly, and then Papa starts thinking, that's when you get in some trouble as Black here. You're up plenty of material, but if you don't have time to figure out the rest of the game, you make a silly blunder that you wouldn't ordinarily make.
Okay, well, he played a4, and again, I think it's an intuitive move for somebody around 500, because some of the plans take some time to grasp, and pushing your pawns when you've gotten to the middle game always feels a little bit natural. Unfortunately, though, his king is now also in the center, and he lost another pawn.
He did, and that's a very important pawn, because now the e3 square, the Black queen, can go there and try to threaten a checkmate. And in some ways, Swiftor is forced to move his queen, which inevitably will be closer to the Black king. So he's kind of forced to make a move like queen to f3. And you said rightly so that queen f7 check isn't a big deal, because the king can slide away. But at this level, you start worrying about your king with a queen on f7, and mistakes can happen.
In other words, the threat is often scarier than the execution, although this execution is scary for white, because I think we lost another bishop here, Robert.
Did you see him? He hit his head again. Like, what am I doing? What's wrong with me? And for Swiftor, he doesn't really have that much chess playing experience, so he is kind of figuring it all out on the fly. And for Papa, he kind of looks like, I don't know if nervous is the right word, but...
I mean, he looks like he's going to chew up his t-shirt if somebody doesn't remind him soon.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he's about to... He's like in the middle of a final at school.
Yes.
And he's struggling to the finish line. He thinks that he's ready to turn it in, but isn't quite positive that question number 8 is answered correctly. And that's the vibe I'm getting from him right now.
Wow, that was such Chad humor, Robert.
Well, my name has to start with a C, doesn't it?
Please keep comparing chess to something even nerdier, studying for tests.
No. I
really like that we're making chess an e-sport. Please continue. Yes.
First of all, Slicker was complimenting me yesterday. He's like, hey, man, you're like a nerd, but like a cool nerd. And so I was like, all right, this works. But about him, I wasn't saying the chess was like an exam. I think he looks like it. There's nothing to do with the chess.
Sorry, you lost me because I just kept replaying that image of Slicker telling you that in my head.
I'm just letting you know, you can probably watch his VOD from yesterday and hear it yourself.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been laughing so hard because Slicker is such a comedian. The way the advice he gave me and Hans, and he just comes up with some really creative stuff. So I really am a big fan. King
Wait,
E2 played.
okay.
Oh
Don't love that
yes.
move, but back to the Slicker. Some of it is definitely creative. Others is just like, I love you, bro. And then I'm like, I mean, I'm happy that you're saying that. And he
Is
just
it too
states
soon for
directly.
you? Did
No,
you
no,
not tell him the words back, Robert? Are you the
he
person who hears "I love you" and doesn't say it back?
we're not getting into my personal life here, but I mean Slicker, he's hilarious. And he's like, I wish I had the accent better, but he just kept going, like, I love you, bro. Man, I watched you and Botez, and yeah, you two awesome, man. Awesome. You're gonna kill it on Twitch.
Oh, Slicker.
Slicker's the man. Slicker is awesome. I'm a big fan of Slickers. I only started watching him when I knew he was gonna be in this event, but he's so hysterical. He's like getting up and dancing half the time. And at the end of the day, what's most important is I know that he loves you, bro.
There it is, Robert. Well, let's go back to this game for a second. I think we've lost another piece. Okay, I don't know why I'm saying I think. I know what the situation is. We have lost another piece, and the white king is in the center of the board. So if this was your student, what is your philosophy on resigning versus playing on?
Always play on. Don't resign until it's checkmate.
Good.
And the reason why I say that isn't even about the chess. But if you heard how upset Nim was yesterday that Slicker wouldn't resign, it makes for great post-match entertainment.
Wow, Robert, you're just trying to stir up drama in here. First with what you said to what you didn't say to Slicker, and now with this. You got a lot of layers, Robert. A lot of layers.
Well, I'm just here for the people. So what can I say?
Question. The eval bar says mate in 12. Grandmaster Hess, you got a minute. Can you solve it?
Mate in 12 by force? I would just move my pieces towards the white king, and I would probably end up with a mate in like 4 because
Robert finding the mate faster than is possible.
I mean, I just went 6 head on everybody. So rook takes e4. That's a good move. Just taking a pawn, getting closer.
All right. So actually, this is probably important for people who are studying. So let's say that you're up a ton of material here. The king is in danger. Should you go for just the checkmate right away, or should you try to develop the rest of your pieces as well? What do you think is better strategy for beginners?
Just go for the checkmate. Because
go for the checkmate. Live on the edge. Edgelord Robert Hess would just go for the attack.
And the reason I would do that is because if you're up so much material, there's no real reason that you need the remaining pieces in this position. And sometimes you're only up a little bit of material and you start moving too slowly. You're not seizing the initiative or kind of feeling out the nature of the position where you need to go very quickly, because otherwise your opponent will have some counter chances. And this is a particularly, okay, the rook was just lost on f7 there. And I think that Swiftor he's resigned before he's physically done so.
Yeah, this is looking really tough. I mean, he had chances in the game as well. I think it was just very tricky. And one thing XQC was saying in his interview yesterday is that there was like a ton of traffic in the center of the board. So lots of pieces coupled up together.
So okay.
Yeah, anyway, there was a lot of pieces in the center of the board. There was a lot of traffic. Great. And it was hard for him to try to look at all of the possible variations here. And I think this is similar to what happened in this game, where there was a lot of possible takes and trades and threats, and it was just too much.
Yeah. And what's the clock situation? Is Swiftor down to his final seconds? I haven't even been looking at that.
Yeah, he has 14 seconds left. Yes, I know, chat. I'm giving Andrea a run for her title with that comment.
With which one? Cluppled?
Yep.
I'm just adding it to my dictionary. So it's a good
Clustered is what I was trying to say.
That makes sense.
I'll get a speech coach.
Yep. Eventually.
So the reason why the computer says there is mate in 2 is because you can play queen e3, which he actually saw, and queen e1 is the threat here. Papaplatte, really nice clean finish here.
Yeah, he actually has played a very good game from start to finish. So he made 0 blunders. He took advantage of his opponent's mistakes. And I don't really know what he was saying when he was speaking German in his stream, but his arrows indicated that he understood the dynamics very well and ends up here with a nice win.
Oh, he's celebrating. Look at that victory dance. Or that victory, yes. He looks like a soccer fan yelling at his TV when his team scores a goal. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not going to call it soccer if you're from Germany. So
True, football. Oof.
yeah, that was bad. Every Bundesliga fan here is probably disappointed in you.
Yeah, well, on that note, let's cut to break. See you soon, chat. And we are joined by Swiftor, who put up a very good fight against Papaplatte. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, and thanks for tolerating the gameplay. But yeah, no, it was fun. So thank you for it's good to be here, and I feel like I learn a lot every game, and that one was no exception. So I appreciate you guys watching, and
I like that mentality. If you're learning, you're not losing. And I actually wanted to bring up a particular moment in the game. So we have it also on the call if you want to take a look there.
oh yeah.
So after your opponent played knight g4, he was threatening on f2. And Robert and I were wondering if you were a little bit afraid about castling because after the exchange, then your king seemed a little exposed. Was this your reasoning for pushing d4 instead?
No, I was just dumb, and for that moment in time, I forgot to castle. That is exactly it. I mean, I wish I had a better answer there. I brought up castling, I think, after, and I brought it up before, and at that point, my brain just like forgot that I could do that. So, I mean, I have no excuses there. Unfortunately, I wish I had a better answer for you guys, but no, just I was dumb. Unfortunately.
It's one of those things where I guess you understand in hindsight after you saw it, but you did see the threat on f2 and d4. If you weren't going to castle, was the second best move. So we did comment on that.
Right. I'm glad he didn't finish me like that. That I think I would have had to hide in a hole for a few months there. So that's a tiny plus right there.
Well, I think a big plus, honestly, is that you had the right thought process of how to, protect this pawn f2. It was just the incorrect execution, and I think it's very valuable to be thinking the right way and maybe playing wrongly, just so you can learn from that of how to the next time you face a position like this, what the correct idea will be.
Right. I don't think I'll make that mistake again, and I'm looking forward to going into the analysis and looking at what Chess.com kind of says I should have done, and bothering Daniel about like what he would have done. So a lot of learning opportunities there, at least for sure.
Absolutely. And let's just continue on a bit in the game. Robert, is there any other particular position you'd like to ask Swiftor about?
Yeah, actually, that moment is when Papa went g5, which was a very aggressive move by him, trying to come after your bishop, and you went for the sacrifice on g5 with taking with the knight, and that was actually a good move. Because when he took you back on g5, your queen, because your knight's out of the way, actually attacks this knight on g4. So you're able to bring your queen into the game. And I was getting excited. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going for it. He's going for it. And then I saw your reaction when you took the pawn on g5. You kind of hit your head and we're like, oh, I didn't see that the queen was protected.
Wasn't the first time. Yeah, no, you're completely right. I don't know. There's just some weird mentality I have about like waiting to bring my queen out. I'm so afraid to bring the queen out. And you're right. I didn't see that, and that was. I think Daniel showed me that too. I should have really. You're right. Brought the queen out there. So I'm sorry to lay it down there. But yeah, absolutely. That would have been the play.
Well, it's tricky because you know one of the principles usually is don't bring your queen out early in the opening. So it takes some experience just with time playing to know when you could break the rule. So I think it does make sense that you're afraid of that. But if you would have taken the queen, you would have had some nice checkmate threats. So even though you're still down, if he plays perfectly, but in an actual game against an opponent similar level, queen h5 ideas, and if he moves the king over, you can actually checkmate him.
Yeah. Okay, now I see that. No, you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as Alexandra said, and I guess I want to hear a little more about how you're preparing for this. So you said you were working with Daniel Naroditsky, did some coaching?
Yep. Yes, absolutely amazing. So that had, but prior to that, I had a few of my viewers kind of play against each other. I'd ask them questions. I feel like I learned a lot there. And really after that was just playing a lot of games against folks on Chess.com, trying to replicate the 10-minute, 5-second increments, and losing absolutely every single game, and then going back and analyzing after that. But in retrospect, I feel like I should have I should have maybe just done more puzzles, or maybe I should have just, you know, took Daniel up on his offer to train more. I feel like I'm very much, you know, I learn better when I'm by myself, kind of like, you know, taking my time, you know, like solo. Did not pay off today. So I feel like I could have corrected that a little bit, but I mean, this is the first of 3. So I feel like there might be an opportunity for redemption if I learn from, like, you know, this match and another player's matches and really go at this the right way. But that's been strategy so far. And I don't think that's going to stay the same. So go from there.
Yeah, that seems very fair. I think chess is one of those games that when you stream, it's so hard because everybody likes to backseat game and throw their
Yes.
moves onto chat, and it makes it so incredibly frustrating. Actually, this is something that BoxBox tweeted about as well, and then he started encouraging his community to stop backseat gaming, and it helped a lot. But we definitely feel for you there, and I think you have just such a positive mindset towards improving. So thank you for that.
I appreciate the kind words. I mean, I totally hear what you're saying, but I think you can't. I mean, you can't stop anyone. It's like, you know, watching, like, you know, a boxing fight or a sporting event or any kind of competitive game where it's like, oh, you should do this. Like, you can't stop someone from saying that. I think the most control you have is maybe just like not looking at chat, maybe, or yeah, it's, you know, people are just gonna be people, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess I have some non-chess specific questions for you. If my
Oh,
memory
sure.
serves me correctly, when we met over a year ago now,
Yeah,
you
South by
are,
Southwest, good times. Yeah.
it was a great time. And I remember you're very into Ethiopian food,
Oh, absolutely, dude.
and you take Wednesdays off. Is that still the case?
Not the case since, you know, the whole quarantine thing. Like, Wednesdays should be my day to kind of, like, you know, like spend time with my wife so she doesn't divorce me, that kind of thing. But but no, there's been a lot of streaming recently. Stream's been doing really well, so it's just been, and I definitely miss Ethiopian food, that is for sure. So
You know, I actually had some relatively
Oh,
recently, and I thought of you
that's
because
awesome, man.
because we said we were going to get some Ethiopian food when,
Right.
you know, at some point. I'm still going to hold both of us to it. And I
Right.
guess I want to ask you, so in addition to chess, what have you been playing on stream lately? What's been your kind of calling card?
I just spent, like, I took a little break from, but I did 62 nights in a row of Monopoly. I'm
That's
actually,
so
yeah.
intense. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I'm actually okay at Monopoly. Chess, not so much, but Monopoly, I'm okay. It's a very social engineering kind of game. There's a lot more luck, obviously. There's just luck involved, but there's also, you know, it's a lot more social games, like controlling stuff. But I've been playing a lot of Monopoly, a lot of Call of Duty, and I'm not really like a competitive like streamer. I'm more of a game show host guy. So it's all about like getting community together and trying to make some fun stuff happen out of that. So a lot of Monopoly game show stuff and that kind of thing. But can I ask real quick, Rob, where you had Ethiopian? Like, just out of curiosity, do you remember the name of the place? Just
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't, but I
uh,
will hit you up and let you know.
I'll
where
bug
we're
you about that later on. I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I've got like a ranking in my mind, but yeah, I'll
Okay.
bug you later.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Swifter. And shout out to your Twitch channel as well. If you guys are into Call of Duty, Monopoly, game show hosts, tight community vibes, make sure to check him out. Thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Take care. And on that note, we're just going to look at the next pairing. It's going to be Forzen and Choco Bars. We'll take a quick break and we'll have an interview with Papaplatte. We are back and we are joined by Papaplatte. Congratulations for your first win. Did I pronounce it okay?
Oh yeah. It's Papaplatte in German. But it's very good.
Papaplatte?
Never heard a non-German speaker pronounce it so well.
It's because Hikaru taught me.
Oh yeah. Most of the German guys pronounce it wrong as well, so you're fine.
Well, I appreciate you correcting it there. Thank you so much. And I actually just brought up one of your moves on the screen when you played Knight G4. Was this part of your preparation to go for such a quick attack?
I guess. I'm not sure to be honest. I just looked what is attacked and stuff and try to
Well,
I'm sorry, my English is not the best.
I mean, you're doing this interview with us in English. We're not the ones switching over to another language. So thank you for being willing to do that.
And we actually tuned into your stream, and I couldn't understand the German at all, but the arrows that you were drawing were excellent. So actually, I thought you showed a very good understanding of the chess.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I always do the drawings, the XQC beep beep boop bop thing, and yeah, sometimes it works. So in this run, it worked actually, but normally I choke pretty hard. So Yeah.
Well, you definitely didn't choke in this position. I mean, you found so many nice tactics. There was only one moment where we were a little bit concerned, and I'm pulling that up on the board. It's
Mhm.
when you pushed your kingside pawn so forward. We were afraid for your king safety here.
Okay, why? Wait,
Ro-
can you show it again?
Yeah. So I'm pushing this up on the Zoom when you played at G5,
Mhm.
and after Slicker took your pawn on
Swiftor.
G5. Sorry, Swifter. Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry. Swifter took your pawn on G5. You recaptured, and here he took on G5, but he could have grabbed your knight instead. And let's say, for example, you would have taken the bishop. Queen h5 check would have been almost checkmate. So just generally, even if you're out material, but your king is in the center of the board, it can be a little bit risky.
Okay, I see.
But that's okay because you'll know it for future games now, and the attack still really paid off.
All right. Holy
Robert,
moly.
is anything you would like to look at or discuss regarding the game?
No, I thought if we just go back before he played f6, I want to actually commend you on that moment a little more because I saw you calculating when Swifter put his bishop on g5 attacking your queen. You were
Mhm.
looking at all the different ways to block it, and then I saw you come up with f6 to attack his bishop on g5 as well as this knight on c3. So you did a great job recognizing that even if it makes your king a little bit less safe, it was a great decision to attack two pieces at the same time.
Mhm. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no,
I try to follow and I'm trying to learn something out of this. So
yeah, can you tell us a bit about how you've been preparing for these matches?
yeah, I started 3 weeks ago, I guess, playing some chess with a friend
Okay.
and then starting to play it on stream. And German chess YouTuber, which name is The Big Greek, taught me about chess a bit. Yesterday, I guess, or 2 days ago, not sure. And yeah, that's it. So I played every day since 3 weeks for at least 2 hours. And yeah. Oh no, it's not. It's not GGX Greek. It's another one, but he's also named Greek.
Well, has this experience? Do you feel like you've improved? I mean, you did just win your first game, so you deserve some praise, some congratulations. But do you
Mhm.
feel like you've really been improving since you started playing a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah. In the beginning, I didn't know anything about the points, the value of the figures and stuff. So, and now I can think at least maybe 2 steps ahead and not 0 anymore. So yeah, maybe a bit. Yeah.
Well, that's an incredible first game for having only played for 3 weeks. Even bigger congratulations for it.
Thanks very much.
And since you've been speaking with English with us, I know one German phrase, so I'm gonna just tell it to you. I learned it from a song, and you can rate my pronunciation. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Nein, Mann, ich will noch nicht gehen. Lass uns noch ein bisschen tanzen.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. Not bad. Not
I
bad.
mean, it's a useless phrase, but I had to try it out there.
But I hate this song. I hate this song. It was played on radio so much back in the days. I really hate it.
Oh, well,
I
I'm
know-
sorry to bring it
I'm
up.
sorry,
The
but-
first thing
but-
I say in German is awful.
But you
I'll
did
stick
the
to English.
pronunciation very good.
I
So,
my roommate speaks German, and occasionally he'll inject the German word for something. So he always goes Apfelstrudel, and I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that. I can't do it. Apfelstrudel.
it's very good. It's Apfelstrudel.
Apfelstrudel.
Yeah, it's the
I know how it tastes.
Oh,
I just
yeah?
don't know
Okay,
how to.
okay,
I
okay.
just don't know how to say it in German. So I'm working on it.
Do you like it?
Yes, of course.
But I guess it's an Austrian thing, right?
Oh, oops. Well, in that case, ignore what I said. Alexandra,
Yeah,
you did a
it's-
great job.
It's kind of the same as Germany, so you're fine. It's
Robert, we messed this up, but Papaplatte, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. And for those of you who want to check out his channel, he's a German variety streamer. He's learning chess very quickly, and he's been such a good sport. So go.
Oh, can I say one last thing?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm learning some German here. Ich bin ein junger, gechillter Typ. How'd I do?
Ich bin ein gechillter Typ. You want to say I'm a young chill dude?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Ich bin ein
Ich bin ein
gechillter
gechillter
Typ.
Typ.
Yeah. 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 Ich bin ein gechillter Typ.
Yeah. If only the meaning was true about you, Robert.
It's not, but I tried my best. So.
Oh, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, well, we'll let you go. And on that note, we'll preview the next match. Thank you again.